welcome. Very excited to be moderating the huddles along with Gina Knapp of Michelson Found Animals Foundation, who is a funding partner for this challenge. So, hi, good morning, Gina. I'll turn it over to you to introduce our speakers and get it started.
Thanks, Amber. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending upon where you are. I'm super excited to be joining you today. And we have the dynamic duo here to speak. So I'm positive this is going to be a very valuable session for all of you. We're joined by Ryan Barker with SFC Virginia. He's the executive director of I can't even say that this morning, SFC Virginia, say that fast. He's a founding member and he's served as the board president prior to becoming the executive director in 2020. Ryan has a Bachelor of Arts degree from Smith College, which he got in 2009, and a master's in business administration from the University of Texas of the Permian Basin in 2018. He started in animal welfare in 2017 as a foster parent. Yay, and volunteer case manager, and later as a placement coordinator for another Fredericksburg area rescue organization, where he developed strong connections with multiple underserved Virginia shelters and rescues and met the rest of the team that would eventually form SFC Virginia. In addition to managing the daily operations of the rescue, including serving as the intake coordinator and main transporter, Ryan fosters the bulk of the rescue's medium and large adult dogs and handles critical canine care, including treatment for parvovirus and ringworm. Wow, that's a lot. And with Ryan is Tori Fugate. She's with the Kansas City Pet Project and is their chief communications officer. Tori joined the KC Pet Project team in March of 2012, right after the organization took over the Kansas City, Missouri Animal Shelter in January of 2012. Tori's role with KC Pet Project has enabled her to build the organization's brand and promote its mission from inception to what it is today. And it's a lot, trust me. She oversees all marketing, events, web management, social media, retail sales, education incentives, and media relations. And then she recently served on the design and construction committee for the KC campus for animal care. They have a beautiful new shelter. She enjoys the opportunity to promote KC Pet Project and its pets through social media and in print, radio, and television appearances on a local and national level, which also include, People Magazine, The Dodo, Huffington Post, CBS News, USA Today, Queer Eye, and The Rachel Ray Show. I know Tori, and I can assure you that she is someone that we should be watching, and I'm sure Ryan is as well. So let's get this party started. Which one of you lovelies want to go first?
I can go first.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. So I'm Ryan Barker. I am the executive director at SFC Virginia, and I'm excited to be here kind of representing the foster-based rescues. And I do have some slides, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those up too. So when I was first asked to present on marketing, I was a little bit confused and concerned because I don't particularly consider marketing one of our strengths as an organization. So this has been a really good opportunity for me to look at what we do as a group and what we do well and why we're able to get the results that we're able to get. So what it boils down to is the title of this presentation: Using Barrier-Free Practices to Get Real Results, Even When You Aren't Very Good at Marketing. So just a little bit about us, so you have some context. Again, we're a foster-based rescue in Fredericksburg, which is a couple of hours outside of DC. We do dogs and cats, and we pull specifically from rural shelters across the state of Virginia. We don't typically pull outside of the state. We only started about 3 years ago in July of 2019, so we're turning 3 years old this year. And since we started, we've taken in over 4,100 animals. We found adoptive homes for about 3,800 of them so far, and we hope to impact at least 2,000 animals this year alone. So far this year, we're averaging about 35 adoptions every single week, and we do this with a super small team of people. So it's really just 2 employees, myself, and we have a foster manager that works with me full-time. Right now, we don't have anyone specifically running our marketing, communications, social media, or anything like that. So it's just me, and it's something that I kind of do in my spare time. So again, if I can do this and we can do what we do with just me running it, I can assure you that pretty much anybody can. So when I was looking at everything, I wanted to, ask the question to myself and then again to you, how can I be so bad at marketing and still help so many animals? And the big answer that I'm going to give you is that we practice low barrier, open, conversation-based adoptions. And that philosophy is integrated throughout our entire organization. So we do offer same-day adoptions in almost all cases. Our foster parents are a huge part of getting animals adopted. So we trust and lean very heavily on them to participate in that side of the organization. And we also have a very open foster recruitment strategy. So that recruitment strategy and your policies surrounding foster really should be as open as your adoption policies are as well, so that your infrastructure is very tight and works together. We also set expectations with our recruitment, and as we hand off animals every single time to the foster parent, that the goal is goodbye, and that we do want their help in finding adoptive homes. Many fosters are very excited about that and actually choose to foster with us because they're enabled and empowered to participate in the adoption side of things. And then we get seen. We do adoption events out in public every single weekend and are very much out and about in our community. So I've divided the rest of this into two sections, one about recruitment and then one about how we actually find adopters for our pets. So recruitment first, very basic. We have a website. The website is not crazy. It's the foster page itself is actually pretty short and sweet. But we do talk about fostering absolutely everywhere, all over our website. We have links to sign up in multiple locations. On the foster page, we have one at the top for people who don't read, and then we have another one at the bottom for people who did actually read all the way down. And on that website, it talks about why fostering is important, what the expectations for the foster parents are, and what we need from them. The realistic timeline for fostering. So for us as a foster-based rescue, we do ask for a 2-week minimum commitment for our foster parents. It is more difficult for us to accommodate those kind of short-term foster programs that are very important in the shelter environment, but is more difficult for us to navigate. We just don't have a place for them to come back to. So again, we ask for the 2-week timeline for fostering. What types of animals need foster parents? So again, for us, that's everything. We do adult dogs, puppies, adult cats, and kittens. And then our very standard application, it's very short and sweet. We ask for contact information, what types of pets they want to foster, what their home and family setup is like, if they have other pets, if they have kids, etc. And then if they have any good relevant experience that will enable us to give them a more higher level fostering or an animal that needs higher level foster, like a medical case or behavior case, etc. If you do want to check out our website, there's a link to it. And I also wanted to note that our foster contract and our adoption contract are available in Spanish, but we don't have supporting materials in Spanish or a website in Spanish at this point in time. Other ways that we recruit fosters, obviously we rely very heavily on social media. So I looked back on our Facebook page to try to find the social media posts that were most successful in recruiting fosters. And pretty much all of them looked exactly like this post, which is really, really easy and basic. So it's just SOS, fosters needed. And in a very short format, it just kind of repeats everything that's already on our webpage about fostering. Who needs foster, the time commitment. We give you supplies, you give the love and the fun, and then a direct link to our website to sign up to get started, along with the cute puppy for tax. So this very easy, basic post reached over 9,000 people. 700 engagements, and we got a ton of foster applications from this. So 16 over the following 3 days. And the day after we posted this, we sent 18 animals to foster, which is a pretty big number for us to do in one single day. And then again, just a link to our Facebook page below. We do also try to cross-post everything to Instagram. I'm not amazing at remembering to do that, but it's a good thing because you see separate audiences on both of those platforms. Other types of posts that we've used to recruit fosters or to promote the program in general. So foster appreciation and recognition is super important. This particular post celebrated a foster named Allison, who does amazing work with our cats and kittens and kind of like a leader with Team Cat. And she, personally is responsible for saving this cat, Cabot, from Panluke. So in this post, we're just kind of, we're thanking her, recognizing her efforts, and also telling people that, hey, we treat these medical cases. Fosters are super important in saving lives, et cetera. And we also link to her foster-specific Facebook group or page, which is something I'll talk about a little bit later, but is something that a few of our serial fosters do, and it works very well for them. Another basic post that lots of people do, Wishlist Wednesday, we almost always pop a link to sign up to foster on there as well, or we talk about our foster parents really need puppy pads this week. So again, we're really big about the direct links to things. We find that people don't go out of their way to find where they need to go to do what you want them to do. So, always pop that direct link in there to help them out. And then this is a post that doesn't talk about fostering, but is an example about why tight integrated processes are important. So this post was specifically just to thank our groomer for grooming this dog for us in an emergency situation. But somebody messaged our page about an hour after we posted it and was like, hey, I'm really interested in adopting this dog. And I would just watch your website, like you said, but small dogs go so quickly, and I've never gotten a chance to adopt. The person that was on our messenger that day very quickly connected them to the foster manager. That dog did still need a foster. So within 3 hours of posting, that dog was in a foster to adopt home. So it's very important that all pieces of your organization can work together quickly and tightly. Other ways that we recruit fosters out in the world, we do open adoption events out in the community every single weekend. Foster is very prominent in all of our signage. We also sign up people on the spot to foster, and our foster manager just kind of follows up on that the following week. And then we have business cards available. We have foster flyers around the community. There's a couple examples of those on the next slide. And then we also do a weekly and monthly newsletter out to our adopters, and sometimes we include foster needs on there. Again, so this is just a couple examples of print media that we might have out and about. QR codes are big, make it really easy for people to get to where you need them to go. And then this one is just something that we may have out and about, like on a table at an event, and just foster very prominently included on there. So quick recap about recruitment. Make sure it's easy to sign up to foster and make sure people realize it's easy. Sometimes when you're talking about an application, a lot of people are thinking something that's going to take them 20, 30 minutes of their day to fill out. And this is, really fast and easy thing to do. Always include that link to the application or to the website, and use momentum to actually get people in the door. A lot of times when we have stalls or we're like, well, we got 20 applications and nobody actually came to pick up an animal, it's because we were too slow to respond. Make sure to appreciate your fosters publicly if they are into that. Ask first. And then use clear photos and use your cute puppies and kittens in some of those harder cases to engage your social media audience. Even if people are not able to foster, they might share your post to somebody who is, or they might donate. And then talk about foster all the time, even if it's not the main point of your post or whatever it is that you're doing. All right. Second part is promoting adoptions from foster. And there's so much I could say about this, but I'm trying to keep it in 20 minutes. So feel free to ask questions after the fact if you have them. But I broke down our main adoption categories based on our Q1 numbers for this year. So we've done 432 adoptions between January and March. Of those, 45% came from public events. 25% came from foster networked adoptions, which is ones that we're not even involved in finding the adopter. The foster parent is literally doing all of that on their own. Usually it's a neighbor, coworker, friend, family member, etc. The meet and greet with the foster parent from a public application. So that's like a joint effort between the foster parent and us as the organization. And then foster fails 10%. So foster parents are directly responsible for 55% of our adoptions, which is huge. Foster networked adoptions, again, foster parents are your biggest asset in getting your animals adopted. So if you're not using them in this way, you really should be. Their reach is going to be wider and more diverse than anything that you could ever do on your own as the organization, especially if your foster recruitment processes are open and diverse as well. We make sure that we make the process very efficient and user-friendly and let them know, again, when they pick up at the point of pickup that we want them to be involved in that process. A lot of people don't realize that they can be, even though it does say that on our website in multiple locations. people don't read, as we know. So, reiterate that, they can post the pets, feel free to find an adopter, and we do give foster parents first pick at adoption as well. We do have sort of a framework that people work within as far as like a timeline to tell us that, hey, either I'm adopting this pet or my neighbor is or whatever, so that we don't have hurt feelings, multiple people thinking that they're meeting pet, or a pet that's sitting in foster care forever waiting for that perfect adopter to appear. The big thing is just to trust your foster parents to make good decisions. When we started this organization, it was a group of people who had been foster parents, and something that was very important to all of them was that they were able to be, to have a voice in the adoption process, because they are often the harshest critics of the adopters. So if a foster parent is coming to you and being like, this is the person I've chosen, or I want to adopt my foster pets, I've vetted them, I've met with them, etc., we generally find it's in your best interest to trust their judgment. We polled our fosters to ask how they were mostly finding their adopters, and this is what they told us. Social media is their biggest thing, obviously. A lot of them use local Facebook groups. So here we have like Fredericksburg Talks, Stafford Pets, etc., that they share posts to. Nextdoor is something that's not huge in this area, but I know it is elsewhere. People like to use. We do have, again, those serial fosters that we really encourage to create foster-specific social media accounts. If you're interested in looking at some good examples of those, the one that I would highly recommend is called Allison's Adoptables. She's on Facebook and Instagram under that handle, and she finds almost all of her adopters on that page. She also gets her wish list completely filled by those people that follow her page, so she doesn't have to come here for supplies. And a couple of other ladies that do a good job, and they all have very different styles. Some of them type forever and ever and like have long paragraphs about their pets. Allison's is more kind of like how we do our social media page, which is really quick, short statements, etc. So, but they all work, and they all reach slightly different audiences of people. We also bring our pets around town or to pet-friendly workplaces. We try to do social gatherings for the foster parents where they're able to bring their pets out and about, and we do a lot of networking that way. And then we also are into moving fosters around. So if we have a foster pet that's been in an available status for longer than 6 weeks with one single foster, we move them to a different foster so they have a new audience to network from. Second way that we find adopters is a meet and greet with the public application. So if the foster parent has said that they don't have an adopter, or they're not interested in networking, or like me, the only people that are on their Facebook pages are other people in animal rescue, then we're going to place the pet up for public application. So we'll list them online, make sure you use multiple sources. So your website, Pet Finder, Adopt a Pet, any of those kind of pet aggregator sites are great. Something that I advise is to make your animals front and center on your website. A lot of rescue pages that I've seen have the pets kind of buried a few tabs in, so you have to click on multiple things to actually get to a listing of the available animals. But we're constantly linking from our social media to our webpage, and it's very easy right there on the homepage to see who's still looking for homes. We do have like a live listing that comes from Shelter Love, which is the software that we use for our adoptions, right there on the homepage. And then, of course, we use social media to highlight our pets. On the next one is an example of one of those posts about an adoptable pet out in foster care. Something that you'll hear a lot is to keep marketing separate from adoption counseling. I'm not going to go into that in detail because it's everywhere, but it is important, and people are, think it is harder in a foster-based situation, and I agree, but it is still very important and does work well for you. The value of good, clear photos cannot be overstated, of course. If we're sending a pet to a foster that we know is notoriously bad at taking pictures, we try to at least take pictures ahead of time, or if the first time they come to an event with that pet, we make sure that we get good pictures of them at that point. We do have an adoption marketing survey Google form that we send out to the foster parents for pets that we either need a bio for or that we're planning on highlighting on Facebook. So there is a link to that there if you want to check it out. It just collects kind of basic information about the pets, and it also enables them to write their own bio that you can use. I do advise looking at it before you just blindly put it up on the internet. Most foster parents do not understand keeping marketing separate from adoption counseling at all. So you just want to check that language before you put it up for everybody to see. Just a little bit about how we review our applications. We have volunteer case managers. A lot of people call them foster mentors, but they're also heavily involved in the adoption side because our foster parents are heavily involved in the adoption side. So they look at those applications as they come in first come, first serve manner. We do send them to foster parents 1 to 3 at a time. So even if we've gotten 15 applications for a certain animal, we're just going to send the first 3 over to the person or to the foster parent. What they're looking for when they go through those applications is really just major red flags, an appropriate fit for pet in question. We don't do any home checks. We don't do vet checks either. So we're really just looking for the right fit for that particular animal. The foster parents then kind of take it over and they contact applicants themselves and they do their own meet and greets. This process for us is super, super fast. So from the time that we put a pet on the internet to the time that we need to hear from that foster parent, whether they have an adopter lined up for that weekend, it's about 4 days, which seems crazy and sometimes is, but generally works well for us. And it's very efficient. And it allows us to not have people sitting around waiting for that perfect application that may or may not ever come. Do make sure that whoever is reviewing your applications has a firm commitment to your rule or your values as an organization as well. Something that I like to do is I check out the adoption photos that we post every week. So all of our adopters get a picture taken with their newly adopted pet and our Happy Gotcha Day sign. It is one of the most engaged posts of the week every single week. I post it Sunday nights. I post it on our internal team page and I post it on the public page. So the foster parents like it and the adopters like it. But for me, it helps me make sure that all of our adopters really are representative of our community as a whole. If all of our adopters start to look slightly homogenous, there's a problem with our application review process. And that has happened, and we've gone back and tried to look at it and figure out what's going on there. All right, last is that we do open adoption events. So 45% of our adoptions come from here. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, you just really have to get animals out and about in front of people. So we do multiple venues every single weekend, or we try to anyway. We jump back and forth between 2 area PetSmarts, one that's more metropolitan and one that's a little bit closer to home. We do Facebook Live at our events. Those are usually pretty popular posts every week. And we also have cats and kittens and local Petcos. Do make sure that if you do this, that your adoption process is still as efficient as possible. If it takes you a week between the time that somebody applies for a cat to get back to them, they've probably lost interest or found a cat somewhere else. Other types of events that we do in the community, we do fundraising events. We also recruit fosters at the same time. So those are at places like Target, Tractor Supply, etc. We do a lot with local breweries, street parades, community fairs. All those are great places to get your name out to the rest of your community. And then try to get your foster parents to come and be involved in those open adoption events. There's no better advocate for the pet than the foster parent. And sometimes when we have a low adoption week and I look at that list, it's almost always the ones that had the foster parents there that actually did get adopted. All right, I'm going to stop there because I'm probably out of time. But if you pull anything from this, I hope that it's really that as long as your org's practices are really built on this kind of open and inclusive foundation, even if you don't have the most amazing marketing with the hugest budget, you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And yeah, that's about it.
Ryan, that was amazing. We have some good comments and questions, but we're going to turn it over to Tori, and then we'll tackle all those questions and comments at the end. Thank you. I'm impressed.
That was amazing, Ryan. Thank you so much. So much great information. And actually, when Ryan sent over his presentation, I was like, well, we're going to be talking about a lot of the same things. So, but my name is Tori Fugate, and I am the Chief Communications Officer with KC Pet Project. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. So yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about, I'm going to be talking a lot about the ways that we market our foster program at KC Pet Project. So this is our beautiful brand new shelter that Gina was referring to, and how we are really trying our hardest to reduce barriers and be as inclusive and open as we possibly can with adoptions of fosters. And we have a pretty robust foster program here. So last year we cared for 14,000 pets at KC Pet Project. We now have 14 locations to adopt in Kansas City, which is a lot compared to where we started. So 10 years ago, we started with, it was a brand new organization, no donors, no supporters, no fosters, nobody knew who we were. And we were in a 50-year-old former construction shed is where we kind of started. And we moved into this shelter a couple of years ago and now have the animal sheltering contract and the animal control contracts for Kansas City, Missouri. But we are a nonprofit that runs the shelter for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. Our foster program last year sent out 1,521 dogs and almost 3,000 cats and kittens out of the shelter, which was a huge, huge number, big increase over last year. It was almost 1,000 more cats and kittens over 2020, which was a big year for fostering, obviously, with the pandemic. And so that was a new record. Our program is currently managed by one canine foster manager and one feline foster manager. We are hiring for an additional canine foster coordinator right now, but it's supported by many, many team members and many volunteers. Our opportunities range from everything, neonatal kittens, medical, behavior, hospice, and so much more. And then 60 families with 83 pets were helped by our Home Away from Home crisis boarding program for owned pets last year as well, which is part of our foster program to help people and pets stay together. And then all departments are required to support our foster program across the organization. It is a requirement. And when we say marketing of our foster program, what do we mean? New foster recruitment, promoting pets in foster homes, showing different types of fostering, highlighting the needs of our program, and showing what fostering is like, and talking about our foster families. And so when we say marketing, that's, we're covering so much when it comes to marketing of foster programs. And by the way, these slides, I sent a deck over to Maddie's son, so you'll have all of these slides after the presentation if you'd like them, because I'm going to throw a lot of information out. So first, we're going to talk about recruitment strategies that we use at KC Pet Project. So make it easy to get started. Brian talked a lot about this. Make it really simple to find your form on your website and have resources for your fosters right off the bat, that if they sign up to foster, that you have a lot of resources available to them. And I'm actually going to share our link to our resources page, so you'll have it. Social media is the way that we promote about it. Media and advertising, we talk about it with our local TV and radio stations. Just word of mouth, people talking about fostering all the time. We have rat cards that are just little promo cards that we hand out in our lobby and at all of our locations and events. Town halls and trainings. I go to district meetings, community meetings, anything like that to talk about fostering. We have a lot of information on our website about it, and having it front and center. It's right on the front homepage of our website to learn more about fostering. And then we are thinking about how to stop kind of just focusing on social media and website to do some recruitment, thinking about like how we can do a lot more recruitment strategies outside of the box than we have in the past. And we never shut up about it. We talk about fostering all the time. I try to mention it at least every single day on our social media in some capacity, just so that it is out there, it's normalized, people are hearing about it all the time. Making it easy to get started. Again, fosters fill out a form on our website. We call it a sign up and not an application. Calling it a sign up makes it sound a little more user friendly, like you're not going to get denied an application for becoming a foster. We really want to encourage people to start by signing up to help us save lives. Foster signups are broken out by dogs, cats, small animals, and our Home Away from Home program for owned pets, which I will say has been the hardest for foster recruitment for us. So we're really trying hard to think outside of the box to get more fosters for that program in particular, because there's such a huge need. Once they fill out a form, they're contacted by either our foster team, or we have onboarding volunteers who actually reach out, especially on our cat team, just to have that initial touch point with a new foster. They try to reach out within 24 to 48 hours so that if we are urgently saying we need fosters, then they have that very, very quick touch point right off the bat. And then we provide supplies to people if they need supplies. So there's a lot on this slide, but this is kind of where we're thinking of outside of the box strategies. So look at the audience that you're recruiting to. Are you only posting to social media, and are you needing to reach new audiences? And so if you're only posting on your social media page that you need fosters, you're going to have the same people seeing that post all the time. Maybe they will get some shares and things like that. But if you really need to widen your foster base, try to think of new and different ways to get fosters out the door. So taking kittens to retirement communities to talk to residents and even promoting fostering with them. Getting young people involved with our program. Some of our best volunteers and our kitten volunteers are under the age of 18. We have a lot of high schoolers that come here after school and help us with bottle baby kittens. And when you see our foster resources page, you're actually going to see the cat one that was all built by volunteers. So it's pretty amazing, by volunteers that are high school students. Market to people who don't have pets and maybe want to foster a dog for a couple of weeks. Spanish language radio and Facebook promotions. We have been working with a local Spanish radio station here in town to talk about fostering and our career opportunities here at KC Pet Project as well. We have a translator on our website that toggles from English to Spanish, and we're looking at adding a lot more resources for our Spanish-speaking members of our community to get them involved. Community papers can do articles or advertisements, and you can present to neighborhood associations. They're always looking for people to come and talk to neighborhood associations. This is a great opportunity to promote fostering. Highlight the diversity of your foster team. People want to see themselves at your organization, so be mindful of inclusion in your marketing materials, your flyers, social media, everything that you're doing to talk about fostering. Show a wide range of diversity of the people who are helping you. And show how kids and families can foster together. That's a great strategy for us. Kids want to be involved as much as the parents do. And then we do a lot of Zoom events and Facebook Live videos to also talk about fostering, doing some trainings and things like that, where people can come and ask questions about our programs. Remove barriers to foster in the first place. So use language that's easy to understand when you're talking about fostering. For some of us who have been in this industry a long time, this can be really hard to think back of what it was like when you didn't know everything about fostering and returning pets to owners and all of this stuff. So really try to, use very easy to understand language. Audit your forms regularly to remove any barriers that might be present. We look at our forms probably every 3 to 4 months just to make sure that we're not asking questions that could be a barrier for somebody to get involved with us. Do surveys of your foster team to receive feedback of your processes and what could be better, what could work differently. And make sure your staff can all speak on fostering and that they are on board with your program and can promote it all the time. And we put a lot of pressure on all of our foster coordinators. And so it's a lot of work to, get all these animals out of your shelter or into foster homes if you're trying to take animals in. And so get your volunteers to help out and make them part of your team. All right, and we're going to talk about marketing the foster program very quickly. So provide resources to your foster families on how they can market your pets. This is a handout on the right that we gave to our fosters during the pandemic to get, help them be able to, take photos of pets at home. So I actually have this as a non-branded handout that can be given out as well. Give them tools that they need to be successful, offer training opportunities for bio writing, photography, and make sure that there's an easy way for fosters to get those photos and bios to the right people, whether it's you, whether it's a volunteer who may be helping you, whatever it is. And I'll tell you about that here in a minute, what we use. And encourage your fosters to promote their pets on social media and tag your pages so that you can reshare their posts when they're putting them up about their pets. And can your fosters give an elevator speech to their friends and family? If not, then be able to give them a little handout of one little paragraph that they can post on their Facebook pages next door, just to talk about what fostering is all about and why they foster. When we have this great community of, we have a dog foster Facebook group and then a cat foster Facebook group. We divided them out a few years ago and everybody was really happy about it. But it's a wonderful community. We do Foster Fridays where everybody posts their fosters. And for me, as the person who does all the marketing, this is golden because I get so much great content from our foster communities on these Foster Fridays. And everybody looks forward to seeing everybody's pets that are in foster homes at the time. We do daily posts for foster needs on our group, especially on our cat group. And I'll actually show you an example of that here in a moment. And then we use Acuity to get vaccine appointments done, exams, vet appointments. And that's really been helpful for our team this year is to use Acuity to get those all scheduled because it can be overwhelming getting so much from everybody when you need to schedule those. And so that's been really helpful. And it is not that expensive to use and you get a lot of resources with it. This is an example of what we do every day on our cat foster page. So we have 3 posts that we put up every day. One says cats looking for foster, and then we post within the day of which cats or kittens need to go to foster that day, and people watch that thread. And this time of year, it's really remarkable. You have to be on it. Like, people are posting within 30 seconds that they want kittens, or a minute. And so, like, all day long, people are following these posts to try to get kittens. Now in July, it slows down a little bit, but for now, it's a blessing to have people that want to help so much. And then we do a general needs post, so people can ask questions on there, and then our other fosters are on answering those questions. And then we do a medical needs post. So if there's a question that they have about a medical need for cats, then our vet team can also be on there and ask and can address questions. So our fosters know that every day there's those 3 posts, and if they have those questions or concerns, they can post those on there. And that's been really helpful for our team to take a little bit of the burden off, because there's so many volunteers on there who are helping, and other fosters. The way that we get content from a lot of our fosters, so we created forms on the fosters resources page that I'll show you the link. And we use Jot forms to create all of those forms. And then they actually integrate into a Trello board that I have started, along with some volunteers that can help write bios and get content from people. And so that Trello board is shared with other volunteers, and then we can go on and write bios. We get great information from them. And I also have some other marketing forms that are coming in from there as well. So it's kind of all in one place. But Jot Forms has been really, really great. It's sort of like Google Forms to get that information. They can send videos, they can send photos, and then we can use that. And so I use that for foster feedback, dog day out feedback, surveys after they took a dog out, and then we're using it to help write bios. We have QR codes on handouts and on flyers around the shelter that people can take photos of that QR code, and then they can fill out that marketing form really fast. And then, giving our foster families the information on how to tag us on social media so that we can reshare their posts. Holiday and weekend promotions are really great for us. That's when we see the most activity coming in, and a lot of people are off work. So it's a great time to promote fostering. We created a little foster corner on the weekends and on Saturday where people can bring up their pet and hang out either inside or outside the shelter, and they can promote their foster that's there. And our canine care team actually comes and meets with the foster ahead of time so that they can promote them throughout the day and recommend that they go into whatever the corner is or outside to meet that foster pet as well. And we have QR codes that link to other pets in foster. If somebody's leaving the building and they didn't adopt a dog, we give them this little handout and it says, hey, don't forget, we have a lot of really, really great dogs that are in foster right now. If you go to this link, you'll be able to see them all, and then we can get them connected with the foster families. We have in the past have done signups where people can sign up to schedule meet and greets. So our adoptions team knows that they're coming up here to do meet and greets with potential adopters if they need a dog-to-dog introduction, things like that. And we use Acuity for that as well. And on holidays, we ask for people to submit photos of their pets in their homes. And so it's really heartwarming to see pets at the Thanksgiving table or the Christmas family gathering. And so I ask for all of those on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then I spend my evening on Christmas putting together an album and like posting it out to share all of these cute pets that are in homes. Because usually before that, we're asking our community to really help us with fostering so that our pets get to spend the holidays in a home as opposed to in the shelter. And then we do some other fun, quirky things. So we've done foster takeovers where we have fosters take over our Instagram account for the day. And it's really fun. You just hand over the keys and you just show what it's like to be fostering a pet. Chris on the right has a great profile that he posts all of his fosters. And he did a great thing one day where it's like, ask me a question about fostering. And he probably had 50 questions asked of him. And he was so great at answering all of them and kind of putting aside like the fears that people might have about getting involved. So he's really great and takes some of the harder dogs that we have here. So he also talks about what it's like to foster dogs that have some behavior challenges. And then we've done my first foster story where we talk about why people got started in the first place, show the needs of your program, and then talk about the results later of how people made an impact. We're doing this a lot on TikTok right now. If you don't follow our TikTok account, I suggest you do. It's really, really great. Katie does a great job. And videos. Videos are so important to promote pets in foster. That is where it's at. Reels, TikTok, Facebook stories, like everything that you can get, those video photos, they get so much more reach than our normal posts. So we're really moving a lot to videos now and trying to get videos from fosters. And then we also talk about all of our other types of foster opportunities that we have. So tube feeding kittens. We actually have videos online that show how to tube feed a kitten. And we've promoted it on social media, talking about some of those kind of harder medical cases, but doing so in a way that doesn't make it seem so scary and that anybody can do it. And then that we will help them if they have questions or need additional assistance. Moms with puppies and kittens, ringworm pets. I mean, we see everything, and everything is pretty much eligible to go to foster homes here. So we also have a medical mentors program where we have people who do specialize with the medical pets that can help mentor some of our other fosters. And then those videos are really critically important to help ease any sort of anxiety that people might have about fostering medical pets. And then, of course, our fosters are encouraged to find adopters. So they are the biggest marketers of our program. And we try to set expectations up front that we highly, highly encourage them to post their pets on their social media pages. Out of the 10,000 adoptions that we did in 2021, 1,435 of them were straight from a foster home. They didn't have to come back to the shelter. They got adopted right out of foster. And so, and we're always trying to up that number just to, have more pets that are leaving through foster homes directly. We share Adopters Welcome resources, and, most of our kittens that go out find homes before they even are 8 weeks old, just because our foster families are sharing them so much. And then, of course, encourage your neighbors, friends, coworkers, everybody to get involved as well. So we're all in it together, and the more pets we can have out in foster homes instead of kennels, the better. And then we provide swag to our fosters. So these are some examples. We did yard signs a couple years ago, and they were really popular with our staff. We had them printed by a company here in town, and our fosters just loved them. And then we've done t-shirts that they can have as well, and stickers and all sorts of fun stuff. Everybody loves swag. And then these are resource examples. I'll actually put that link in the chat so you have it. But this is an example in the middle of our RAT card that we give out. It actually has volunteering on one side and then fostering on the other, and really trying hard to, combine the two, that fostering and volunteering is all the same, and having everybody all be on one team together. And so that is a great card that we give out to our community. And the one on the right is actually a magnet that we gave out that had all of the resources and contacts. And so that was a nice resource to give out to our fosters a couple years ago, because everybody loses that sheet of paper that has that important contact information on it. So a magnet was a great thing for our staff to have. And that's everything for me. I'm so sorry I talked really, really fast, but I wanted to get through everything in case there were questions.
Thanks, Tori. There were lots of questions, and I think I've jotted most of them down. But one that we didn't get that I'm very curious about is, what is the average length of stay? And that's for you and Ryan, in foster care. Let's just talk dogs.
Don't know what our average length of stay is in foster. I mean, it's probably about 30 days, I would say, maybe. I don't know for sure, just because we have so many underage animals. Like, it's probably kind of higher in foster.
Right.
I would agree.
How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's not like a metric that we track specifically, but it's probably, I would say the majority of our stays for dogs and specifically puppies are only about 2 weeks. But if they come in, obviously born in care, or we have a few really, really long stay dogs that are probably going to rack that number up a bit. But yeah, 30 days is pretty average.
Yeah, Ryan, there was a question for you at the very beginning about, you mentioned that you asked for a minimum 2-week commitment. Mm-hmm. Do you find that that's enough? Or, obviously for underage animals, there's a longer commitment up front, and people know that, but the 10 days or the 2 weeks, is that working out well for you?
It works well for us. Most people, if the commitment is longer, or even people that say, oh, I can only do it for a week and we're desperate and we take them up on it. Most of the time, by the end of the week, they're like, oh, I can take it back if they don't get adopted this weekend. So really, it's just we're asking for a minimum commitment. It could be shorter, it could be substantially longer, but as long as they can at least hold on to that pet for 2 weeks, it helps us out so much, and then we can find somebody else.
Right. I know that you answered it in the chat, but maybe Tori, you could share your thoughts on this too, about the elimination of home checks and vet checks. That really slows shelters down. So maybe you could share your thoughts on that.
Right. We do not do any home checks. We don't do any vet checks. We really don't even ask if, what type of home you live in or anything like that. When we're doing matchmaking here, we try to just have a very open-ended conversation with people, making sure that, the pet that we're sending home is a great fit. And we allow for, everybody to bring up their other dogs if they have other dogs in the home, or a dog, and to meet ours. But yeah, we've eliminated all of that. We don't ask if they rent or own. We don't ask income levels, anything like that, just making it as easy as possible. And that goes with fostering and adopting.
Excellent. Ryan, did you have anything to add to that?
No, our policies are pretty much the same.
Great. Yeah, those days are gone, aren't they? I was curious also, are either one of you spending money on social? Are you giving Zuckerberg any money?
We don't.
Nope. I try not to.
Yeah. It's interesting. You really don't have to. Some shelters really think they have to boost their posts, and our content is so amazing. Once you hook a follower in, they're like there for life. And you did mention your TikTok, and it is pretty brilliant. I'd love to see more shelters use TikTok that way. There was a comment from someone asking for tips. They have an organization with one foster coordinator and one foster vet tech and nobody else. How do they get more help?
People don't know what help you need unless you ask. That's been a big thing for us, is that we have to let the public know what our needs are, because, as much as you might talk about them internally, people have absolutely no idea. So you should be, posting your volunteer opportunities in multiple locations, ask on social media, ask on your website, and then, try to turn, if you have like any volunteers at all, if they've got something that they're super interested in specifically, even if it's not what you're looking for, you don't know how else they can help your organization. So we've, turned a lot of people who have come in thinking that, oh, they just want to walk dogs. And now they're there at our adoption events every single weekend because that was the need and they're interested in that. So, take people with what they think they want to give you, and that they have a skill set you might not have thought about yet. And usually that turns into something bigger in my experience.
Yeah. Volunteers are critical. We have probably 24 volunteers that help with our kittens this time of year. And it's everything from actually sending kittens out into the foster homes when our foster coordinator is not here, to doing the onboarding, mentoring, everything. So we just are so critical with our volunteers. We couldn't do it without them. And I mentioned several of them are in high school and are amazing. So we actually got a grant for 2 of them last year to get their own incubators. And so they're taking home bottle babies after school. They come up here after school and get bottle babies and take them home and care for them.
Excellent. There was another question about, do you have separate social groups for your shelter other than foster and adoptable animals? I guess there was a concern from this particular group, Abby said, about overposting kittens. You can overpost kittens, right?
Mm-hmm. We just have our main Facebook page, but then we have a group for dogs and then cats. And then we also have groups for our volunteers as well that are, internal groups.
Right. When I was in Sacramento, we had a lot of those internal groups, and it's good for the volunteers. They can communicate and help each other. Mm-hmm. Ryan, how about your team?
Yeah, we have the one Facebook page and an Instagram account, but yeah, we have one team page for both dogs and cats. And then we also have a separate volunteer one. For sure, the foster one is more active than the volunteer page. But we do have those pages.
And Ryan, just so everybody's clear, you do not have a brick and mortar. We
don't. We started basically out of my living room. We did move. I moved to a 5-acre place last July. So the rescue has a 3-car garage that we basically hold our supplies in. We do intake there, and it's kind of an in and out way station. It's not meant to hold pets long term. So it does help us because we're able, if we need to pull pets in an emergency situation, we're able to at least hold them 24, 48 hours before we find a foster parent instead of them living in my living room. But yeah, by and large, we're totally foster based.
Excellent. And it's fabulous. You've done 4,100 animals since in the last 3 years? I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Shelters with $1 million budgets that haven't done that. So good for you.
Thank you.
Somebody talked about getting fosters is easy, but keeping them is hard. Any sage advice on how do you keep your fosters engaged and coming back as though you would fall apart without them, which you would?
Yeah, I think engaging them like in the off season is critically important. Like especially like kittens, if they just foster kittens, we've been asking for like feedback and trying to think of like other ways to keep them engaged during this time. But that community is really what helps us like building that strong community, and we are trying to figure out how to talk to people outside of Facebook as well, because a lot of people don't want to use Facebook for this. But really just having that personal connection and those mentors help as well.
Yeah, I would say exactly the same thing. Our team page helps keep people engaged. We also have just like an email list that we send out emails to, because there's a lot of people that aren't on Facebook or aren't seeing our posts on Facebook. That happens a lot. We also, those case managers, those volunteer mentors, they kind of consider the people that they manage their own team. So they do a lot of rapport building as well. And I think that is very helpful. So they know who to reach out to when needs arise, and they just kind of create their own communities that way. So that's been something that has kind of developed a life of its own and has been very helpful to us in retaining those foster parents.
One of the questions also was, are the animals you're sending into foster, are they fully vetted, or are they going right away, whether they're altered or not?
Our pets basically just get a basic intake when they come in, and then they're headed right out to foster care. So sometimes they don't even get a bath before they leave, depending on the size of the intake. But, they've at least gotten first round of vaccines if it's age appropriate, dewormer, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we're certainly we don't have a space to hold animals until they're fully vetted.
Yeah.
Ours have all their basic vaccines and stuff, but and then if they're underage, of course, they're not fully, spayed and neutered and everything, but they'll come back. We get them on surgery schedule as fast as we can.
Right. Excellent. And Tori, just the vast number of animals that KC Pet Project put into foster last year it's mind blowing. That's just enormous. And if you think about the cost savings, and I don't know if you and your crew have looked at that, if you think about how much it costs to keep an animal in your shelter every day, what you save and how you can rejigger that money for other purposes.
It's true. And, we're constantly needing to evaluate that. That is a huge cost saving. So on average, it's about $400 per animal when they're here at the shelter, if you count all the resources and staff time and everything. So having them in a home, even if we're still providing the resources, is a huge cost reduction. And it helps us learn so much more about that pet and gives us a more accurate representation of what that pet is like in a home.
We have a 5-minute warning. I know that some of these questions we have not gotten to, but we do want to continue the conversation on the Maddie's Pet Forum. Great place to share. And did you say, Tori, that you would be sharing job descriptions? There was a question about job descriptions. Can you do that?
I certainly can. Yeah, I can get those.
And Allison just dropped the link so that we can continue this conversation on Maddie's Pet Forum. Let me see. Did I miss anything ginormous? Ryan, there was a question. You said that if an animal doesn't get adopted within the first six weeks with its foster family, you're moving them to another house for different exposure. And is that stressful for the animal?
I would say it's not stressful for the animal. If it's a pet that has more critical behavioral challenges that needs, a longer time with a foster pet with a foster parent that has a specific skill set, we're not going to be hard and fast on that 6-week rule if they're still improving with that foster parent. But generally moving between fosters is seen as a good thing. It opens the pet up to new experiences. It gets them out of their comfort zone. A lot of pets just think they live there after they've been there for so long. And then it's harder for the pet to leave, and it's also harder for the foster parent to let go. So the 6 weeks thing is nice on both ends.
Absolutely. Somebody asked a question about the fostering of large dogs and big dogs, and I know we don't have any time left to really talk about that, but there was a incredible seminar a couple weeks ago, the Big Dog Masterclass. Maddie's was a part of that. Maybe is that the recording of that, Amber, do you know, available on the forum?
That is, oh, great.
Yeah,
Allison is.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. We
Thank
have
you,
it links on the forum and on Maddie's University. So I'll post that in the chat ASAP.
Thanks, Allison. Great content, a lot of good resources, and it really expands the information that you have on how to deal with the larger dogs. What a good session. Are we out of time? I don't know. What time is it? 12:57, at least where I am.
Yeah, we've got about 3 minutes left. So I don't know if Ryan, Tori, or Gina, if you had any closing thoughts you wanted to leave with everyone.
I think the big dog conundrum is definitely something that we're putting a lot more energy to, and just being way more literal with our community. Like, we need help with medium and large dogs. That is it. Like, that is the biggest need right now. And so if you're looking for a Pomeranian, we do not have any for foster, but we specifically need help with medium and large dogs, and putting that out to the media, and doing so in a way that hopefully it'll generate some buzz here in our community is huge for us right now.
And you have a pretty vibrant doggy day out program, right? Where I can go pick up a dog and go for a hike, or at least get the dog.
Yeah, we do. We use Acuity for those signups, and they still have to fill out the foster sign up as they would normally. But yeah, they can go on Acuity and schedule that. And then yeah, we're doing a lot a week now and getting lots of great content.
Excellent. It was a great hour. I hope all of you got one little thing to take away from this. I certainly learned a couple of things. I love Wish List Wednesday, and I can't wait to try it. So, and if wherever you have a donate button on your website, you should have a foster sign up button too, right? It should be everywhere, so that nobody misses it. That would be my advice. Thank you, everyone. Go ahead, Amber. We'll see you next week, I hope.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say is I love to see how like big KC Pet Project and how, like manpower, right? Like actual staff and volunteers, right? We have two very different sized organizations with KC Pet Project and with Ryan's group, Squishy Face Crew, which I just love. So the amount of good you can do no matter what size you are. I think this presentation today really did show us that. So thank you both, Tori and Ryan, for spending some time with us. And thank you, Gina, for moderating. Thank you, everyone, to this call for joining us. We're super excited to continue the conversation or rewatch the videos on Maddie's Pet Forum. And we'll see you next week on the 20th at 11 p.m. Pacific time. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.